Joining us now to talk more about the potential terrorist designation and what it could mean for the Brotherhood is Eric Mandel, Director of Middle East Political Information Network. Eric, it's great to see you here again. We want to talk about the ramifications, but first, just give us a quick Cliff's Notes version, a summary of the Muslim Brotherhood. How significant of a group is this, and what have they stood for? So
the Muslim Brotherhood is the most important political Islamic organization in the world. Political Islamism is the political dimension of Islam. It means Sharia law controls everything. They have a motto. The motto is that the Prophet is our leader, the Quran is our law, jihad is our way, dying in the way of Allah is our highest hope. All political Islamists only differ in tactics. So you have a lot of violent offshoots, but they all want to have a caliphate, a Sharia caliphate. And then you look at of the violent parts, their greatest progeny, from an infamous progeny, is Hamas. But then you look at bin Laden's mentor came from the Jordanian Muslim Brotherhood. The head of the mastermind of 9/11 came from the Kuwaiti Muslim Brotherhood. And today's al-Qaeda leader, al-Zawahiri, he comes from the Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood. So that's just a little context when we're talking about who and what the Muslim Brotherhood is, so people can make a decision if this is a reasonable decision or not.
So talk about the ramifications. Talk about what this designation would do specifically to the Muslim Brotherhood.
Well, we have the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt, and Sisi has asked President Trump to designate them.
Sisi has already designated them a terror group.
So has Saudi Arabia, so has Syria, believe it or not, so has Russia, many of the Gulf states, the UAE, they have designated them. But if the United States did it, it would be a big deal. It was a big deal for the United States to designate the Iranian Revolutionary Guard a week or two ago, but they're specifically talking about the Muslim Brotherhood. The ramifications, though, go way beyond this. One, you have the Pentagon being very upset because the Qataris and the Turks, Erdogan is Muslim Brotherhood in Turkish garb. The Kuwaitis are the largest supporter of the Muslim Brotherhood and have harbored Muslim Brotherhood people from Hamas, including quite a few terrorists. But our most important air base is in Qatar, which is the Al Udeid Air Base. So the Pentagon's very upset about doing this. Bolton and Pompeo are very much for this.
So when you look at this decision and you look at the fact that Egypt's president just met with President Trump not long ago, recent days. Could this be a quid pro quo situation here where the president says, you know what, I'll support this. I'll designate them a terror organization, a terror group, if you back the Middle East peace plan that we're about to unveil? Well,
I think this is a possibility. I don't know Trump's exact strategy here. We know that Egypt has withdrawn from the United States and other Gulf states in creating a Middle East NATO to counteract Iran. So could they make some sweeteners like this for Sisi in order for to facilitate the Trump peace process, the deal of the century? I think it would be actually a very good deal for the United States if that was. I have no idea what the Trump peace plan is, but having said that, I think that would be a smart strategy. I think that's not enough.
Former President Obama had refused to make such a designation, correct?
Yes. So President Obama, starting in 2009, wouldn't use the words radical jihadists, radical Islamist terrorism. He thought that was counterproductive. And so you had people starting in around 2013, 14, like Senator Cruz, who would speak up and say, we need to designate the Muslim Brotherhood. But they ran into a stiff wall with the White House at that time. This White House is going to be much more receptive to designating them. But remember, the Muslim Brotherhood is just not one organization. It is diffuse. And there are some less militant parts. They are parts of the Jordanian government. They are parts of Tunisia, parts of Morocco, places America has relationships with. Having said that, if to make this binary, and nothing is binary in the Middle East, I think this is more of a positive than a negative. And I think designating them, I think, puts a moral clarity. And it doesn't. People are going to say that somebody is an Islamophobe or against Islam because of. That's not true. Most of the casualties, the deaths of radical Islamists are Muslims, and so it actually could be a very pro-Muslim thing to do this. But they're too afraid to speak up.
All right, Eric Mandel, it's great to see you as always. Thanks for coming back on the show.
Pleasure.